into their homes, though? I feel people read it and we see it and you're worried about it, you're anxious, but what can people themselves and families do to prepare for rougher times?
That's a good question. We need a sort of a cultural change, and especially in a country that's been far away from the eastern border, that's hard to do. And I see myself as a guinea pig. So I started when I came into office with sitting in talk shows and talking about the need to have a 48-hour emergency package, so that when something happens, it doesn't have to be a war, it can be floods, it can be electricity blackouts, that people can take care of themselves because the government might not be there. And in the beginning, people were laughing at that. And you would have one hand going up if somebody asked if they would survive for 48 hours. Now we're nearing the 40% of people that have prepared themselves for 72 hours or longer. We see that municipalities are looking at emergency gathering points, at shelters, at having emergency stocks in the house. Companies are looking at their supply chains. So yeah, I do think that we're slowly waking up that this is reality and we need to prepare.
And you mentioned the Eastern Front, Linus, in Lithuania, what's it like there? How ready is the public there? Do they have 72-hour go bags?
Well, we still have work to do. Obviously, our defense spending is going up. Next year, it's going to be 5.25% of GDP, so that's obviously a very high number, and that involves a lot of spending.
Civil readiness as well, though?
Yeah, civil readiness as well, because we've had this issue for many years. I mean, the issue of Russia being our neighbor, meaning that we have to be, agile in reacting to any circumstances. So hybrid threats are not something that we have been facing since 2014 or 2022. We've been facing that since 1990 when Lithuania regained its independence. So people are, I think, more resilient on the NATO's eastern flank than some living in the western part of Europe. But I think there is still more work to do because in the end, I think people need to understand that the state would need their qualities in case of any potential threat. Qualities that the people are best at doing. For instance, if you're a doctor, you can contribute by being a medical professional at the time of any threat. If you are an engineer, you can add up to this. So it's not also only about talking about who's going to be on the front lines defending our own countries with guns and military means. There are other ways of contributing to a country's defense, and I think this kind of mentality has to shift because otherwise we face this threat of being attacked and then feeling that we have to leave.
So what do you do personally then?
Well, of course, you have to have a backpack ready, just in case.
What's in there?
Well, some stuff, I'm not going to be revealing, the secrets.
Pokemon cards?
Well, you need to have some hobbies, even at the time of any threat. But basically, you have to have a plan B in order to make the plan A work. So whenever you are ready, you have all the things that you are may need at any particular situation. I think you are feeling much more relaxed and prepared, and that level of preparedness makes you feel less anxious, and that involves not only military issues. Yeah,
but I really want to get into this because this is something very real for people. They're wondering, okay, how far does this have to go? We've all seen Netflix dramas about how to flee a situation, but the minister sketched out things that are in place or starting to get in place from local councils. What would the process be? I mean, there's some sort of alarm signal that goes out to the general public. People grab backpacks, people go, where do they go? What's in those backpacks and what should they be prepared for?
Can I give you a small example? We had a big blackout in Portugal and Spain just a little while ago. And what you saw is that having 12 hours without power already creates panic and anxiousness. And all of a sudden, the small candles, the vaccine candles, went for €60 a piece. There's always someone that makes money off these kind of
especially in the Netherlands.
things. But that's the kind of things you need.